Welcome. In front of me is a Huawei Nova 10 Pro, and today I'll go over unboxing along with a quick overview of this device. So anyway, let's just pop it straight open. So this is basically the more premium version of just the 10, which I do have laying on the side just for comparison. Let's rip this apart and get inside the box. There we go. So there is our phone. We get the usual garbage of pedal search, phone clone, and app gallery. Now, fun fact, if you can't find some kind of Android application in the app gallery, you can use phone clone if you already have a other Android device to basically clone it to your new phone. So, just a little alternative. Now, anyway, we also have a case in here. There we go. Perfect execution. And that's about all we have, at least in that first part. Then we get a massive 100 watt charger, which is an upgrade over the normal one, which comes with a 66 watt charger as a comparison. And also Type A to Type C USB charging cable. So there we go. Now, next thing in here is so next thing we get the phone. Just pop it out. So the design on the back is a little bit different. This one is matte. I do have to say, I think I like the cheaper version of this a little bit more. Just as a comparison, I'm going to bring it in. You can see this one is just glass, but it has this, I guess, Nova logo that they have. It's also on the box, so you can kind of see it like right here. So this one is inlaid in the glass, but it deflects the light a little bit differently, making this kind of like nice stealthish logo. This one is just matte, with this being smooth glass, so it kind of catches your finger. So I would feel like, or at least I feel like the cheaper version of this phone feels more premium, which is a little bit ironic. Anyway, let's just turn it on. Now, I'll mention right now the price and the price difference between those two devices. So this comes at around 730 euros compared to the just a Nova 10, which comes at 500. So it is cheaper by a decent margin. But to be completely honest, there is not much that differs them apart. So I will just say this right now. I think picking up the Nova 10 over the Pro might be a better choice, just because it's more cost effective while you give up certain, I guess, luxuries that you might get with this one. In general, I would consider that the 10 is just a better value for your money. Because the most important parts, in my opinion, for a phone would be things like processor or screen. Screen is the same, at least I think. Let me quickly make sure. Yep, it's basically the same. But what isn't, or what is the same, is also the processor. Now, paying over 200 euros more for the same processor is just downright effing stupid. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. At this price range, you will get a OnePlus 10T, which is better than this. Number one, it has support for 5G connectivity, and number two, it's running a flagship spec processor, which is Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1, the best one on the market for Androids right now, and costs 100 euros less. So yeah, like I mentioned, cost effectiveness, either go for the 10 or maybe, like I said, consider something like OnePlus, which surprisingly this year around it's a decent pick. So anyway, I'm just gonna put on the case so you can see what it looks like. But anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna quickly run down the specs of this phone just so you can kind of just get a feel of what this phone is all about. So number one, display that you can see right here. And honestly, I'm gonna do a comparison, or bring it so you can see both of them side by side. Let me just also take off the case. So here we go. literally side by side. Both of the displays have curved glass. Both of them are, I think, the same, honestly. So 6.78. Okay, this one is a titsy bit smaller. So this one is 6.67 and 6.78. Also with a higher resolution. But this one already comes with 1080p resolution, which, in my opinion, should be enough for everybody nowadays. If you want high resolution, I guess you can, but to be completely honest, there is no need. 1080p already provides a really dense pixels per inch, which I would argue that just a decent, like, normal usability, for instance, from this distance, I cannot tell you that this display has a higher pixel density than the other one, which has a 1080p resolution instead of this one being 1200 by 2652. So it has a higher resolution, but honestly I can't tell. Both of them running OLED displays, 1 billion colors, HDR10 and 120 Hz refresh rate. So in this case they are basically identical. So there we go, that's the display. Now let's move over to the cameras. 50 megapixel wide, then we got a 8 megapixel ultra wide and 2 megapixel depth. Same cameras on the 10, just to put that out there. At the front we got a 16 megapixel ultra wide and 8 megapixel wide, or not wide, portrait. So that's kind of why we have this wider cutout here. Now, just as a comparison, the 10 only has a single 60. So again, in terms of what it offers, if you're looking for like ultra wide for TikTok or whatever, both of the phones have it. Both of them have the same pixel count and can record at the same kind of specs. So begs to differ, why would you care for 8 megapixel portrait? It's just 8, so I wouldn't expect anything significant from here. Anyway, moving on, we have 8 gigabytes of RAM, which is the only option here, and 128 or 256 gigs storage. Now let me quickly grab a SIM eject tool and show you that we don't have any kind of expandable storage, although it could be nano memory. It is Huawei, so let me quickly just make sure. It doesn't really specify, so it could be using nano memory, but usually you would have NM for nano memory. We don't have that here, so I assume it's not even supporting expandable storage. So if you need more than 256, you're out of luck here. And like I mentioned before, processor in here, Snapdragon 778G, which is only a 4G chipset. So you're not getting any kind of 5G connectivities if wherever you live can support it. So again, that's another kind of drawback of this phone. Battery size, 4500 mAh battery, and like I showed you before, we have a stupid fast charger of 100 watts. So it is basically advertised that it can do from 20 to 80% in 10 minutes. That's kind of like weirdly written, but from it, I'm not sure I'm like getting this correctly, but whatever, 100 watts should probably charge your phone in 10 to 20 minutes to full, most likely. From me using I believe it was a 65 watt charger on my Mate 20 Pro, which by now is like what, 3-year-old phone or 4, it topped up the device super freaking quickly, and that was a 65 watt charger. This is nearly double. So yeah, this will be fully charged in no time. And yeah, that kind of finishes up the overview of this phone. Now, like I mentioned before, this specific model, the Pro, doesn't have Pro features. It's lacking in this department, in my personal opinion. Now, we do have things like under display fingerprint sensor. Let's see, do we even have a wireless charger in here? I'm gonna slap it on my Qi charging. Nope, we don't have a wireless charger even in this Pro version of the phone. So yeah, with all honesty, if you're planning to pick this up pick the phone up, maybe one of the 2-3 of the new Novas, I would highly recommend looking into the 10, just a standard one, just because it offers basically all the same things that this one offers, but for cheaper. It's nearly identical phone, even in the way it looks like. This one, the Pro, is a little bit thicker too. I think it has actually a bigger battery. That might be the only benefit right here. Yep, it has a 4500 compared to 4000. So this one has a relatively small battery, but in terms of power, photos and stuff like that, they're identical. And like I mentioned, if you're thinking about getting something that is decent or better over the other one, then maybe just look into OnePlus, which has been newly released, the 10T, like I mentioned before, which costs less and is better. Now, anyway, with that being said, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.